Welcome to Sacred Word Daily. Tonight we journey into one of the most powerful stories ever recorded in the Bible, the story of a young man whose life was filled with betrayal, suffering, faith, and divine destiny. His name was Joseph. He was hated by his brothers, sold as a slave, thrown into prison for a crime he never committed. Yet in the end, God raised him to become the most powerful man in Egypt, second only to Pharaoh himself. This is not just a story about suffering. It is a story about purpose. It teaches us that even when life feels unfair, God is still writing your story. So sit back, reflect deeply, and allow this powerful biblical account to strengthen your faith. Joseph was the beloved son of Jacob, the grandson of Abraham. Among all his sons, Jacob loved Joseph the most. One day Jacob gave Joseph a special gift, a beautiful robe made with many colors. This robe symbolized favor. But favor often attracts jealousy. Joseph's brothers saw the robe and resentment grew in their hearts. To them, Joseph was not just a brother anymore. He was their father's favorite. And they hated him for it. But the robe was only the beginning. Joseph soon began to have dreams. Dreams that would change everything. One night Joseph had a strange dream. In the dream, he and his brothers were binding bundles of grain in a field. Suddenly Joseph's bundle stood upright, and the bundles of his brothers bowed down before it. When Joseph told his brothers the dream, they became furious. "Do you think you will rule over us?" they said. But Joseph had another dream. This time he saw the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowing down before him. Even his father Jacob became concerned. But deep in his heart, Jacob wondered what the dream might mean. Joseph did not yet know it. But God was revealing his destiny. One day Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers who were tending sheep far away. When they saw him approaching in his colorful robe, anger filled their hearts. "Here comes the dreamer," they said. At first they planned to kill him. But one brother convinced them not to shed blood. Instead they threw Joseph into a deep empty pit. Joseph cried for mercy. But his brothers ignored him. Soon a caravan traveling to Egypt passed by. So they sold Joseph as a slave, for 20 pieces of silver. To hide their crime, they dipped Joseph's robe in animal blood and showed it to their father. When Jacob saw the robe, he believed his beloved son had been killed by a wild animal. His heart broke with grief. But Joseph was still alive. And God was still with him. Joseph was taken to Egypt, a powerful kingdom ruled by Pharaoh. He was sold to an Egyptian officer named Potiphar. Even though Joseph was a slave, something unusual happened. Everything Joseph did succeeded. Potiphar noticed this. He saw that the Lord was with Joseph. Soon Joseph was placed in charge of Potiphar's entire household. He managed the servants, the money, the land, and the livestock. Joseph had gone from prisoner to trusted leader. But another test was coming. Potiphar's wife noticed Joseph. He was young, strong, and handsome. She tried to seduce him many times. But Joseph refused. He said, "How could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God?" One day she grabbed his robe and demanded he sleep with her. Joseph ran away. But she kept his robe. Angry and embarrassed, she lied. She accused Joseph of attacking her. When Potiphar heard this, he was furious. Joseph was thrown into prison. Once again, an innocent man suffered for doing the right thing. Joseph now sat in a dark prison cell. He had lost his family, his freedom, and his future. But something incredible happened again. God was still with him. Soon the prison warden noticed Joseph's wisdom and responsibility. Joseph was placed in charge of the other prisoners. One day 2 prisoners arrived. They were servants of Pharaoh. The chief baker, the chief cupbearer. Both had troubling dreams. Joseph told them something powerful. Interpretations belong to God. After hearing their dreams, Joseph explained their meaning. 3 days later, everything happened exactly as Joseph predicted. But the cupbearer forgot Joseph. And Joseph remained in prison for 2 more years. One night Pharaoh had disturbing dreams. In the first dream, 7 healthy cows came from the Nile. Then 7 thin starving cows appeared and ate the healthy ones. In the second dream, 7 full heads of grain grew. Then 7 thin heads swallowed them. None of Egypt's wise men could explain the dreams. Suddenly, the cupbearer remembered Joseph. Joseph was brought from prison. Standing before Pharaoh, Joseph said, "I cannot interpret dreams, but God can." Joseph explained that the dreams meant 7 years of great abundance were coming, but they would be followed by 7 years of terrible famine. Joseph advised Pharaoh to store grain during the good years. Pharaoh was amazed. Pharaoh said, "Can we find anyone like this man, in whom the Spirit of God lives?" Joseph was made ruler over Egypt, second only to Pharaoh. The slave had become a governor. The prisoner had become a leader. Joseph organized the storage of food across the nation. And when the famine came, Egypt survived. But something unexpected happened. Joseph's brothers came to Egypt seeking food. They bowed before him. Just like in the dream, Joseph recognized them. But they did not recognize him. After testing their hearts, Joseph finally revealed himself. His brothers were terrified. They thought he would punish them. But Joseph said something unforgettable. "What you meant for evil, God meant for good." Joseph forgave them. He saved his family. And they lived safely in Egypt. Joseph's life teaches powerful lessons. God can turn betrayal into blessing. God can turn prisons into purpose. And God can turn pain into destiny. If you feel forgotten, if life feels unfair, remember Joseph. Your story is not finished yet. God may be preparing you for something greater than you can imagine.